Hi, a very good morning to you. It's nice to see you here. And this is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB, an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. This is a channel that comes to you every week with policy analysis, with conversations, and occasional business stories. But right now, we have news behind the news at 8:15 a.m. on weekdays, Mondays to Fridays. And my co-anchors today are Katya. Welcome, Katya. Good to have you here. And Anurag. Anurag, nice to see you. And the three of us are going to take up three interesting headlines, and we discuss the headlines with you. The three headlines are first about how Trump blinks and blinks again. More details later. And the second is how NBFCs too are beginning to feel the pains of NPA. And the third is an interesting story about how Maharashtra government's charity commissioner is trying to become more corporate friendly, trying to become more trust friendly. Okay, here are the stories. Look at the first chart. America decided to give a 90-day reprieve for its tariffs in its negotiations with China. It has already given a reprieve of 30 days, then again extended it, and now it's got 90 days. Obviously, Trump begins to realize that his industrialists do not want bad relations with China, which is part of a global network and is difficult to extricate from the global chain. And that's not all. Trump also decided to remove the ban on AMD and NVIDIA for selling their chips to China. But the US market is hurting. Look at the graph on the right-hand side. Everyone knows that the market is slowing down, the dollar is weakening, jobs are being lost, and there is pain everywhere. If that is not all, in September is a UN General Body meeting, and already 137 members out of 193 members have decided to recognize Palestine, and Palestine is also being recognized by some European countries like Spain and recently France. US is on the back foot, because if Israel is castigated by the entire global body, there could be two consequences. One, Israel is thrown out as a member of the UN itself, which is what many members are demanding. And two, some of the smear of war crime will rub off on America, and the consequences for that will be horrendous. So tariffs is one problem, war crimes is another, and the starvation in Gaza is a ghost that continues to loom over the US today. So much so, the Jews in America are now holding a procession saying, stop this genocide. And in Israel, two trusts, Israeli trusts, have come out with reports with the word genocide. Bad times for the US, because it has championed war and destruction for many, many decades across the world. And we go to the second story. The second story is pain that India is facing. And Anurag, could we have your story?
Good morning. Behind today's headline on your screen about unsecured loan triples lies a story that reveals the fault lines in India's credit ecosystem. As you can see on the chart, HDFC Bank's credit cost jumped 41%, ICICI's hit 50%, and Axis Bank saw an alarming 88 basis point surge. But here's what the headlines miss. This isn't just about bad loans anymore. The stress has migrated. What began in microfinance and personal loans has now infected small business lending and commercial vehicle financing. Bajaj Finance, typically resilient, admitted their MSME book showed strain suddenly since February. So, what's the real story behind this? Banks spooked by defaults are tightening lending standards. Borrowers who could previously refinance their way out of trouble now find doors closing. This liquidity squeeze forces more defaults, which makes banks even more cautious. The root cause runs deeper than risk management, as industry experts have pointed out to a fundamental challenge in income assessment. In an economy where millions work in cash without formal pay stubs or audited accounts, how do you measure credit worthiness? This exposes India's informal economy reality. Borrowers exist in a documentation void that digital lending promised to solve but clearly hasn't. So, what's the silver lining behind this? Management teams suggest the worst may be behind us, but expecting improvement by October and December. Banking leaders believe the microfinance cycle will stabilize as new disbursement match runoffs. But the broader question remains: if India's credit system struggles to assess the very people driving its growth story, which are small entrepreneurs, gig workers, rural borrowers, then what does this mean for the country's economic ambitions? The answer will shape not just banking profits, but India's growth trajectory itself. What's your take on this, sir?
Anurag, you hit the nail on the head. This could have major implications for the Indian economy. But the situation is not likely to improve despite what people say because jobs are being lost. Just remember, just recently TCS shed 12,000 jobs. Now, when jobs are lost, suddenly the money that they've taken from NBFCs and banks, they can't repay. And if you don't create new jobs and existing jobs start getting cut across the sectors, the pain is going to continue. It will be difficult to find new borrowers who are credible because the environment is not dependable anymore. But your surmise is right that yes, this is going to affect the entire economy. The stain will spread. Thanks, Anurag. And let's take the third story, and that is by Katya on Maharashtra government. Katya, could we have you?
So this is an extremely interesting development. So, we have a lot of charitable trusts in Maharashtra. I mean, a lot of them are legacy trusts, owned by Jains, Gujaratis, all sorts of communities, etc. So, earlier the rule was if the trust has to put in any money in a special investment vehicle, they had to get a nod from the charity commissioner office. So, there was no free flow of investment decisions the trustee could make. But and now the order is that you can actually invest as per the current latest order, they can invest up to 50% in mutual funds, ETFs, any special investments, etc., specified investments. So, and they do not have to take a note, they can make the financial decision themselves. So, just to give a sense of how many registered trusts exist, so the number is right there, 59,000 and odd. So it is not a small number, but who is it a game changer? It's a game changer for mutual funds and ETFs. Actually, talked about a lot of latent wealth that India holds on to, which doesn't come to the financial system. So this could unlock a lot of latent wealth back to the system. So it's going to be a game changer. And the second thing is, other states could also take a cue and open their charitable trusts to be a little more forward with their investments. So this is a very interesting move, an extremely interesting idea. So and for the first time we'll know how much money that these trusts sold, because they're privately held. We actually have no clue how much they do. We always talk about how much latent gold wealth exists. This is also very similar. There's a lot of money that exists. So what do you think about it, sir? Do you think it's going to be interesting?
It is interesting because Maharashtra has not been the friendliest of states to corporates.
Right.
The stamp duties are the most horrendous. So many people who have construction projects in Maharashtra, whether it's building airports or whether it's building roads or whether it's building bridges or railway lines, register the projects and the documents and the contract deeds in Delhi
Right.
or in Noida or in other places. Silvassa, the tax havens in India,
Mm. Mm.
because then they pay low stamp duty.
Mm.
And Maharashtra loses on stamp duty because the stamp duty is among the highest.
Right.
And now that Maharashtra is trying to get people trusts to invite more investments, that is interesting because it means Maharashtra wants to get more such money into its state, and then
Right.
later, maybe a couple of years later, they'll start putting taxes.
But
Very
charitable trusts
interesting.
are not taxed. Sorry, some charitable trusts are not taxed, right? As such.
No, but the projects they take up, stamp duty, the real
Okay.
money is in projects that you put up, and that stamp duty. And if they're projects in the state and you've spent some money, part of the GST is paid given to Maharashtra.
Acha,
Part
right.
of the GST goes as CGST, but the rest of them gets into SGST, the state
SGS.
taxes. So
Right.
it's a very nice way of making sure that Maharashtra's coffers get filled by inviting and making it more corporate friendly. Come in, my door's open for you.
Right.
But yes, very interesting. Thanks, Katya. And that takes me to the end of this session. But before I go on to the next session, which is responding to comments, etc., let me give you the usual reminder. If you've not click the subscribe button yet, please do so. It helps us. Click the like button. That helps us even more. And lastly, do tell all your friends and associates about us because you want to grow faster. We are growing, but a little help from you can help us go much, much further. Anyway, let's come to the comments. And the first comment is: has humanity found its way back in the minds of leaders? Has humanity? Yes, humanity is missing. Most people, most countries did nothing when the massacre began in Gaza. Most countries did nothing when Lebanon was founded or when Syria was founded. For one reason or the other, they looked the other way. And credit must be given to just one nation, and that is Yemen, where the Inshallas, the Houthis, categorically stated, till the genocide does not stop in Gaza, we will keep on attacking every Israeli ship in the seas. And they've lived up to the word. Worse, they bombarded Israel in almost all its ports and airports. The cost for Israel is very high. If it thought that America's support would get it through, it may not be successful. Thanks. And that takes us to the next question, and that is about Maharashtra. Uh, is there any estimate about the amount of money that Maharashtra can draw in? Katya, any guesses?
So we'll have to track how much mutual funds are coming to AMCs. So this is the first time we will know. So this is latent wealth. Like we do not know how much money households hold. We can never know. The gold also we are making an estimate. So like for example, during demonetization, we came to know how much cash a lot of people, like people in villages, etc., were holding. So we'll come to know. So let's wait and watch.
Yes, a very interesting way of learning how much hidden wealth there is actually there.
Right. Right.
And this is taxable wealth,
Taxable
because
wealth. Yes.
trusts give money which is already taxed. So when they give that money out, that amount is not known. It's a good idea. Yes.
Yes. Good.
And there's a third one also. And Kati, maybe you'd like to join me on this one. And that is about uh, NBFCs feeling the pinch. What do you think the future for the credit market is? Because you've done credit stories before. What do you think?
Sir, and NBFCs are in the same link as same line as banks right now. NPAs are expected to go up. See, if banks are getting their NPAs, then NBFCs are a notch below, so they'll get hit first, and then it will go to banks. But it's there was too much retail therapy which was happening for the last 2 years, so this day had to come. So and some of it has to be done, and like you were saying, how do you determine the credit worthiness of somebody who doesn't have a formal job? I'll tell you an example of how it works. They'll go to a friend who has a job and give his credentials. This is how a lot of the retail under the small loan market works, which is why RBI is trying to tighten it. stop multiple personal loans. But I think it was a year too late. They should have started it a year earlier to have stopped the mess. But let's see
And
how
in
it
the
goes.
extended family system like India has, I will get my relative, acha, I will take the loan in your name,
Right,
for
right.
you. Yeah, but you
Yes,
can't stop it. And lastly,
exactly.
there's another comment which is part of the entire story. With many peak job creators leaving India, wouldn't NPAs increase? Yes, they will. The environment needs to improve. You need to invite capital. You need to invite investors back into India. And that is a nub of the problem. But thank you very much. That brings us to the end of today's show. It is wonderful to have you here. Have a great day ahead. And do tune in tomorrow. We'd love to have you once again. Take care. Good luck.